Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Troy Smith Show. We have a new episode for you today where we're going to be talking about all of the latest political goings on. I hope that you will go to rare.us and check out our articles, and I also hope that you'll check me out on the Stone Zone every single day. Roger Stone's podcast. I am a co-host there where we talk about the latest issues. And when you're seeing this show on Friday, we're actually set to interview Joel Gilbert, who is a director who is kind of leading the movement to talk about Michelle Obama possibly replacing Joe Biden as the Democrat nominee in 2024. A brilliant guy. I wanted to talk a little bit today about what is going on in as far as it pertains to ballot access in the 14th Amendment, because this is the hot topic of the day, and there's a very sound legal argument to this in my mind. You look at what David Schoen and what others have said, and you kind of put things together, and I want to make this clear. President Donald Trump, former president, whatever you want to call him, has never been charged with insurrection, period. Just because Rachel Maddow and Jen Psaki go on MSNBC and say that Trump committed insurrection on January 6, 2021, that doesn't make it true. Just because Nancy Pelosi has a committee hearing with a bunch of Democrats and Jamie Raskin, and they say that Trump actually committed insurrection, that doesn't make it true. In order for insurrection to be legitimately legally considered, he has to be charged with it. You can't just have Fox News say, oh, so guess what? Obama committed treason. And then all of a sudden the court said, wow, I guess Obama committed treason. That's not how this works. And because they have gotten so carried away with the narrative of insurrection, where now it's gone to, this is an actual thing that was asked to Trump's legal team, a legitimate question that was actually asked to Trump's legal team. If Trump ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate members of Congress, would he be protected? Are you freaking kidding me? They have gotten to the point where they think that Trump would order the assassination of members of Congress. And they actually you look at what they've said about Mike Pence. They said that he told his supporters to kill Mike Pence. Bullshit. He said Mike Pence didn't have the strength to do what he was supposed to do, and because of it, we're going to have a Biden presidency. And what happened after Joe Biden was put into office? I would say selected to be the next president, because the establishment had they decided they were done with Trump. I could be wrong about this, and maybe I just made it up in my head, but I'm pretty sure that Biden ordered the National Guards from several states and the military into Washington, D.C., and they sat around the Capitol in fences, and he sat in the White House in fences, and he had his inauguration to no audience. It was the first inauguration, maybe in the history of the United States, where people were not allowed to attend. The only people that were there were members of the media and members of the political establishment. What does that tell you? They had a literal military coup. If January 6th, which it wasn't, it was not an insurrection. If January 6th was an insurrection, then January 20th, 2021 was also an insurrection, because what do you call bringing in the military and barring the people from going into the inauguration? What do you call that? I call that a military takeover. And if we look at what happened afterwards with the vaccine mandates and then firing everybody and trying to order individual employers to order to vaccinate their fucking employees. They actually had a freaking executive order that was trying to make any company with over 100 employees forcibly vaccinate their employees for no reason other than they wanted to do it, and they figured out that they could, or they thought they could, or whatever. Now, of course, that didn't stand up in court, but that's what they tried to do. And now they want to come back and say, Trump is sowing chaos. Trump is the threat to your rights. I'll tell you what the threat to your rights are. It's the Republicans and the Democrats in Congress and in Washington, D.C. that have been there long, long before Trump came along. These people have been around for decades. Look at Mitch McConnell. He looks like he was born in the 1700s, for Christ's sake. He is 100 years old. You go and the people now, by the way, it's pretty amazing. The people in the Congress now are actually pretty young comparatively. If you go back when I was a small kid, every person in Congress had like white hair. They were like totally like 60s, 70s. It's actually gotten younger, but it just highlights a trend over the last, I don't know, 50 years or so, or going back even 100 years, where the people in Washington, they go and they stay. They stay for the rest of their lives and they never leave, and they just build corruption until they eventually just Feinstein out and die in office, and somebody appoints their replacement who will be there for the next 100 years, because as soon as they get access to the incumbent mechanisms where they can use government money and use their position in government to fundraise, they stay there forever. And the only question in their mind is, do I want to be a senator? Do I want to be a representative? Do I want to be an advisor? What do I want to do? That's all. That's the only question that's in their mind. And you get someone like Jen Psaki, who has done nothing, literally has created nothing, has actually produced nothing, jack shit. She's worth $30 million. So this is not chump change. And she's the roadie. She's the groupie, and she's worth $30 million. What do you think that Biden and all these people, what do you think they have offshores? The Bushes. How much do you think they got sitting in offshore accounts? How much do you think all these people got? The Clintons. I saw something yesterday that said Bill Clinton was worth less than $1 million, like $1.3 million when he became president. By the end of his presidency, he was worth over $230 million. $230 million. So don't tell me about corruption where Hillary Clinton sits there and says, oh, Tucker Carlson's interviewing Vladimir Putin, and he should be banned from the U.S. and he's a sick puppy, or whatever the stupid shit that she said. Hillary Clinton has been using Ukraine to relaunch all of her corrupt charities, from the Clinton Global Initiative to the Clinton Foundation, and they can sit up there and use the empty vessel of Joe Biden to push whatever they want so that they can make more money and more money. Of course Hillary Clinton wants Joe Biden to stay president because it's open season. The more clout you have in the Democrat political establishment right now, the more direct access to presidential policy that you have. These people are making millions and billions of dollars. They pass those. Look at the infrastructure plans. Look at the American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act. Is your inflation reduced? Are you paying any less for anything? Has anything improved? Do you see a lot of new roads and bridges out there? No. But yet we pass spending bills worth trillions of dollars. Where's all that money? It's poof, gone. And it's not even our money. It's our grandkids' money. Those bills will end up costing this country. I'm gonna guess, because I've seen the estimates, and some people have said the American Rescue Plan, I think they said, was somewhere around $4 trillion. It's at least $10 trillion, at least, and probably closer to 15, because as we know, government doesn't do anything cheap and effective. They do everything over budget and over schedule. So it'll be, I would bet you by the time that, I believe it's about 10 years, when 10 years is all said and done, the U.S. debt will be over $100 trillion. And a large chunk of that will be because of the spending plans implemented by Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. And keep in mind, the Republicans allowed this. And I'm not talking about Trump or the people really that support him. I'm talking about the establishment McConnell types, the Lindsey Graham types. They allowed this. And on top of all of this, if it wasn't bad enough that just the spending alone is going to destroy the country, it's also going to destroy the energy industry, because its focus is on removing tax credits for the fossil fuel companies, which, by the way, fossil fuels have nothing to do with it's carbon. It's carbon. It's not like, oh, a dinosaur died, we suck up the oil from it. It is carbon. It's plants, it's animals, everything. And it's reoccurring. It doesn't go away. Fossil fuels are not going away. Natural gas has been around for a lot longer than we have, and there's plenty of it. There's enough gas under New York. I mean, and parts of Pennsylvania and Ohio called the Marcellus Shale Reservoir. There's enough natural gas in that reservoir, just that reservoir, to power the entirety of the world for 1,000 years. And that's saying that statistic, by the way, is based on no improvement in technology, because we can't really say where things are going to go. Tomorrow they could discover something, and natural gas could last for 10,000 years. My point is that 1,000 years, if you go back, let's just take 1,000 years. What was going on the earth 1,000 years ago? Well, it was like 1,000 AD. Like, we're talking about the difference between iPhones and stones. Like, we're talking about the ancient world. So the idea that we are powered for 1,000 years if technology doesn't improve at all is pretty astounding. And I think it's important to make that reference too, because how far has the technology come in 1,000 years prior? And we didn't even know what natural gas was 1,000 years ago. Now it powers the world. And this is important. And people will say, oh, well, he's just a fossil fuel shill. He's doing the bidding of the fossil fuel companies. No, folks, I'm not. And let me tell you why I'm not. Because I like things that work. There's lights in these studios. I like that when I turn the light switch on, it works. I don't want to be in a situation ever where the solar panels are covered and I go to flip on my light and it doesn't work. And not only that, but I like cheap energy. I like when I go to, and I think most Americans do, I like when I go to the gas station and it doesn't cost me $100 to fill up my damn gas tank. I like when I look around and I see cheaper costs because businesses are having to pay less for their energy. I like that. I like the idea of promoting humanity. I like when they ban abortion and then there's more kids. I want more Americans. I hope that people have more Americans. I don't want to see this country fail, and I don't want to see us slip into some kind of dark age because we shot ourselves in the foot because of a fucking windmill. It's ridiculous. And their argument is that the world is going to end. I was born in 2000. They said the world was going to end in 2000. I was around for 2012. They said the world was going to end in 2012. Didn't happen. I was around for COVID. They said the world was going to end because of COVID. Didn't happen. So guess what? They're going to come up with a new thing basically every 10 years that says, yeah, world's going to end. I remember sitting in school as a kid they were telling us that it was global warming. Everything was going to be warm and it was going to be hotter and hotter and hotter. And they realized after a while that made them look really stupid because it snows. So every time it snows, people go outside and they say, well, what about that global warming? Are we still supposed to have snow? And now it's switched and it's become climate change so that they could say, well, it actually makes the colds colder and the warms warm. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And what it is that Europe and business interests in the United States have made trillions upon trillions of dollars collecting for the third world. And as Sam Kinison brilliantly pointed out in the 80s, they would send a camera crew over and record this little African kid hiding, or lowering himself into a pit of mud. And Sam Kinison points out, this ad is supposed to get me to donate to children in need. You're 5 feet away. Why don't you feed them?
I watch these things on TV and I see those commercials and I look at it and I go, God, how cruel, To see a little kid out there and I go, fuck, I know the film crew could give this kid a sandwich.
And that gets to the root of the problem here, because there's business interests who have been collecting trillions of dollars on the idea that the third world is needy and they need. I'll tell you what they need. They need coal. They need natural gas. They need electricity so that they can advance. It's the fish in a fishing rod analogy all over again. All we need, folks, is to help them progress. But the business interests who have been making millions and billions and trillions of dollars off of these people and the charity that they provide them, which actually, by the way, is vaccines and disease and the modern medical system, which is we're all such big fans of. That's the that's the beauty of it. They actually go in and they kill these people with their treatments and whatnot, and give everybody HIV and AIDS. I mean, the AIDS rates in Africa are off the charts. There's little kids walking around with fucking HIV. I mean, I'm not even kidding. And it's gotten so bad that people with HIV that are adults have this weird thing where they go around and they look for kids who haven't been infected with it, and they give them, AIDS. I mean, like, and the reasoning behind that is some kind of weird illogic that having sex with a kid or somebody who doesn't have AIDS is going to cure you of AIDS or something like that. It is horrendous. I mean, and it's that way because of our intervention. If we simply helped them progress, built them infrastructure, helped build them into being self-sufficient, then we wouldn't have the turmoil, the destruction, the terrible things that happen there. We want them to be whole. We want them to be able to take care of themselves because we care about humanity. But the people who are in charge of this world don't want that because they can make a whole lot of money with false promises and deadly, deadly, deadly programs that they send to these people. So anyway, folks, this has kind of been all over the place, but I would expect the Supreme Court to side with President Trump today. I don't think that there's any question that he committed insurrection because he hasn't been charged with it. Not only that, but we have a lot of ongoing cases here, and in no case have they attempted to charge him with insurrection. So just because the Colorado Supreme Court says, or just because the Colorado legislator looks at the January 6 hearings and says, oh, he committed insurrection, that does not mean he committed insurrection. In order for him to commit insurrection, he'd have to be actually charged with insurrection, and he hasn't been. So anyway, folks, I hope you go to rare.us. I hope you like this show, and I hope you'll continue to support us in our mission here to tell the truth and to keep the word up. I am doing the Stone Zone. I'm doing the editorial here. I'm doing the show. So I am fully immersed in this for you, the people. We want to get you the right information, and we take pride in how we provide it to you. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Troy Smith Show, and I hope that you will subscribe, give us a like, and share with your friends and family. God bless, and have a beautiful evening.